Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 back at it with another video for you guys. And I'm back with another The Flash Season 7 episode review. And talking about The Flash Season 7 episode 16. Now, sorry for for not doing last week's episode review. I was kind of, I guess, lazy in doing that, but also, like, when I finally got to watching the episode, almost half a week had already passed, so at that point I was like, I'm not gonna just do it. So yeah, but um last week essentially started this Godspeed arc that's gonna presumably end this season off. Something that I'll be like, well, great. It's an arc that's actually intriguing me the most out of the Forces storyline and then the filler BS. Like literally, the only good episode I saw out of the filler stuff was the Cisco goodbye episode. But yeah, let's talk about this week's episode. So this week's episode is also not only more of Godspeed, but we see the return of John Diggle and his CW show appearances and stuff like that. But anyways, we know that there's a Godspeed civil war because from last week, you got Godspeeds literally fighting each other, and Barry's finding a tough way to try to stop them and everything. Two, he also gets another vision like he did at the start of the last week, but this time it's like Nora's vanishing, like as if things are going wrong. So that's kind of Barry's mindset of, well, now Nora's vanishing. Is things going wrong because of what's going on here in this Godspeed stuff and everything? So he's obviously worried about that the most because he doesn't know if things are going to end up being good because he knows him and Iris are trying to make a baby and everything. So what happens is that's when we see Diggle show up and he's like, I'm going to help you guys catch a speedster. So thanks to Cisco making this tech, essentially it's able to stop time, which is easier to catch the speedster. So they do it on Godspeed. And they catch the Godspeed. And when the Godspeed's in the little, prison cell they have in Star Labs, at first Godspeed isn't communicating, but then eventually it does communicate to Barry and the others. And essentially, Godspeed is talking about saying, like, look, the only reason why this thing is going on, why there's a Godspeed civil war going on right now in Central City in this time, is because we're looking for August Hart. Which is the original Godspeed. And essentially the thing is one side's looking for Godspeed and the other side's looking for Godspeed. So it's essentially a race to see who gets August Hart first. Yeah, man, essentially the Godspeed in the cell is like, well, we have to kill August Hart. I'm guessing presumably August Hart does something really bad in the freaking future. And stuff like that, because he's trying to steal the Flash's speed and stuff like that. And this Godspeed clone or something like that is telling him, like, hey, work with us, we'll get rid of him. But Barry's like, no, we don't kill or even, my enemies. And essentially, that's when Godspeed is like, well then, I guess you're my enemy now, so fuck it. He manages to break out of the prison cell pretty easily and smash the one device that was used to trap him. And the reasoning behind the fact that he was able to do that, because I was like, isn't that supposed to like make sure metas don't run? And we essentially find out that particular Godspeed, they're not really a meta. They're essentially, I guess you can say, an artificial meta-human. So regular dampeners wouldn't work on them. So we'll see if they'll make, like, I guess, artificial meta dampeners, but I don't think they can be stopped by any meta dampers, which makes that a whole lot more of a problem there. So whoop-de-doodle-doo. So yeah, so that thing's going on. We got two side plots. One of the side plots is the Joe Kristen Kramer stuff, and essentially they're kind of playing cat and mouse with the one guy that she was going after. They eventually kind of stop him in his tracks, and then, he kind of makes it like, I that you would have died in the explosion yourself, and then obviously it comes to the whole thing of Christian Kramer's trying to kill him, but then Joe's like, hey, don't do this. So that's kind of going on. That might pick up next week. The other storyline that I didn't really care about, which I could say they've been forcing down their throats, is the Allegra storyline with her cousin Ultraviolet. So much for bringing her back to life and giving her a normal life when she's just gonna die the next episode, right? Um, which after she gets the surgery from Caitlin and she gets this whole thing, she can talk normally again. She still wants to get revenge on black holes people because they're hurting people, but eventually, midway into the episode, Allegra walks in on a person after hearing it talk about, family and stuff like that. She goes to this area where obviously Ultraviolet did some attacking, and it ends up we end up finding out she got hit really badly, and then she ended up dying. Now the way she died was pretty cool. She died like she was melting away, but look, I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I didn't give two shits about this storyline, this Ultraviolet storyline, since they did that whole filler episode. Now, I'm guessing this thing is supposed to make Allegra's character grow and stuff like that, and I guess, I don't know, treasure family more, or I guess take up arms against black hole officials or something, or be out on the field more. Look, I just didn't care about the Allegra stuff. No offense. I just felt like it was just something thrown in there so we can give Allegra something to do, and that might cater to what she might do in the next season, in season 8. Of maybe she takes this approach of doing reckless things that she shouldn't be doing, and it has to take Team Flash to talk her down from doing this. Well, I guess she might be on a revenge plot line. So yeah, that's the thing. Now going back to the main storyline, since everything happened with the whole broken device, essentially Barry kind of lashes out at Allegra and Chester in trying to get the thing fixed. And that's when Diggle's like, hey, you guys go, let me talk to Barry. And clearly Barry, he's essentially talking to Diggle, saying how distraught he is of the fact that he doesn't know what happens to Nora because of this whole issue. The fact that he's worried that, well, guess what? I don't know if my kid's all right and my kid's safe. And essentially Diggle kind of responds by saying, well, guess what? I understand where you're coming from. And listen, but if there's a chance to see family, you go see your family to go see that they're okay. Now the reason why Barry doesn't want to go check up on them is because if he does that, he has to run to 2049, which means you have to go to the future, and is afraid that he could create some sort of flashpoint thing. I guess I can understand his concern, even though I think regardless wherever you go, you can mess up the timeline. I feel like this. See, I feel like the timeline and the Flash should be worried about this. As long as Flash isn't interacting with people in the future, I think he should be good. So if he just ran there and he just saw Nora, he's like, okay, they're good. I can go back. I think he'd be good. But if he goes obviously back to the past and messes up stuff, honestly, I think how time travel should honestly work is like you shouldn't interact with anything from the past or the future, because then you can totally mess up just the strictly pure timeline. Now, well, let's just say time travel never in this world's universe never worked out. So whenever that happens, yeah. Now, honestly, I would be up to do time travel, but I would only be up to the time travel where you go back into your younger body and just relive all your great moments as when you were a kid. But regardless, that's the whole thing. So when Barry does that, he goes into the future, but then in the Speed Force, we see these Godspeeds here, and they're just blocking the way. They're essentially like a firewall. They kick him out into this one place where we see Dion, and Dion essentially what we find out is he's been holding Iris because Iris has been kind of fading in and out, and he's using the Still Force powers to essentially keep her safe and I guess keep her from disappearing and stuff like that. And two, we found out that the other forces right now are fighting the Godspeeds in the Speed Force because, well, that's why they're blocking the way. So that means Barry can't even get to the future because of it. So yeah, he gets back. So essentially, he gets kicked back to 2021 because of this. And yeah, so that's the whole thing going on there. So obviously, that whole thing feels like a waste of time and a loss of time there. So what happens is now Cecile gets a read on the fact that Nora had this book talking about one of Argus Hart's locations in the future. So with Cecile going with Diggle, they actually go. But before they go, Diggle has one of those headache things caused by him not accepting the ring. And when Cecile looks into it, well, she feels the same pain as Diggle was feeling in this head trauma stuff. So essentially, she tries to say, hey, you shouldn't do this, but Diggle's like, no, I'm gonna get to do this. I'm fine, and stuff like that. So he kind of brushes off. Eventually, they confront a Godspeed, run into the area, and stuff like that. The same thing happens again, but Killer Frost shows up to save Diggle's butt this time. So eventually, they go around to the same building, and they find this individual. Cecile looks into his mind, has no recollection of his memory. They eventually take him back to Star Labs. They're thinking that this is August Hart. So when they give him this shot to make him remember some things from his brainwaves, because some parts of his brain were like shut off. Eventually, it's confirmed later on that, well, it is August Hart. So but he just can't think of anything else. So that's going to be tied into next week. Don't know why his mind or his brain is shut off like that, but okay. Anyways, Diggle says goodbye to Chester. He also says goodbye to Barry and stuff like that. Barry does ask, like, are you good and stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, I'll be good, but maybe I have to go do my own thing, which I'm thinking him making the reference that maybe he knows he's going to have to accept the ring at some point because it's going to be an issue with him and everything. But Barry also does apologize to Chester for obviously what he said earlier to him, and essentially Cecile and Barry have a talk at the end of the episode, and obviously Barry tells her, like, look, I tried to go there, but I can't go there. I just feel like everything's just going wrong and there's nothing I can do. But Cecile's like, you just gotta have, like, even though things feel worse as crap, you always gotta have that hope. So keep believing in the hope. And then we see Nora return, this time not in a vision, for realsy this time. She returns and Barry's shocked, and essentially Nora's like, well, if I'm here, that means everything still works out regardless, so you should be good. And then obviously that's when Nora's hinting, like, you see, I wasn't here, I didn't just come here to talk, we actually came here. And then obviously you see another speedster walk in, and it's Bart Allen, aka Impulse, who in reality in the comics, he is the grandson to Barry, but in the CW they made him the son. So I don't know, I remember reading up on this article a bit. I thought it was kind of like, son? Interesting. I know a lot of people were kind of turned off, like, why would you make Bart his son, not his grandson? But we'll see how it works out next week. It seems like, hey, I'm fine with it. Like, if they want to do their own thing, they want to do their own thing. It's there, yes. Does it go different away from the comics? Yes, but we'll see how it works. And it seems like it's working. I think it's Jordan Fisher who's the I think that's his name, Jordan Fisher. As I'm looking it up, I think it's Jordan Fisher. Yeah, Jordan Fisher. I thought he did pretty good in the short, I guess 2-3 seconds he showed up, but definitely can't wait to see what's happening next. Next week's episode is going to be the first of a 2-part season finale, so gonna definitely be cool. But other than that, I enjoyed this episode of The Flash. Listen, this Godspeed stuff has been probably the best thing The Flash Season 7 has gotten, other than the Cisco goodbye episode. And that says a lot, which means The Flash Season 7 wasn't good in its entirety of its run. But other than that, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or now when you're checking out this video. Until then, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.